So with our turtle, what we want to do is kind of paint, I'm going to paint the big shells first, big sections of the shell first, and we want to do it kind of section by section. So don't try and put the same color in all the sections, because these we want to do like wet on wet. So I'm going to put water, especially in areas where I want them to stay a little lighter. It helps our colors to blend a little bit better. So I'm going to put a little water in the middle of my section. And then I'm going to take yellow and drop it in on the bottom. Boop, 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 boop. And then I think actually instead of doing the blue first, I'm going to take alizarin crimson and then drop that in, because then I can drop blue on top of the alizarin. So, and it's up to you. You don't have to do the same exact colors I am. You can do them a little different. Just think about, like, if I pop in a complementary color, like maybe I did red and green, that's going to make brown in the middle. If you do yellow and purple, that's going to make brown in the middle. So normally, you know, colors next to each other on the color wheel will get along a little bit better. And then I can drop in a little bit of blue while it's wet. And I'm kind of very gently tapping in the blue, and it's going to turn a little purple like that. And I can put a little blue down here, but I may have to let it dry.
What did you put the blue?
On top of the pink. Then for my next section, I can do like the same colors, or I can make them a little different. I'm still going to do the same steps where I'm going to wet a little bit in the middle where I want my lighter colors. And in the picture, this one has a little bit less yellow, so I may just drop in some yellow on the right side like that, using the side of the tip. And I'll add a lot of pink in this upper corner. But you know, if you find you like what a certain color is doing, you could always use more of that color. I'm gonna leave a lot of white over there. And then you can drop in blue or like purple. You could do like straight purple in here. So, and then y'all can kind of fill each of the sections up here almost the same way. Like some of them, you know, where they go higher on the turtle, I may want to use like more blue. But a lot of times you're almost trying to make it look like all the sections are related. So I want to use similar colors in each section. Like since this one's really purple, I may want to use a bit of my purple at the bottom where it's closest to that purple section. And then have it a little bit more blue at the very top of this section. So, and then with the head of your turtle, I can put, wow, that was too much water. I can put a little bit of water, and then, you know, for the side, these are going to be all blue, and then the top, we want to feel like the light is hitting it, so that's why we put a little bit more white, not white, yellow up here. And then I can have it fade to a little bit of a pink. And later on, we'll add like some darker colors. can do to add like texture to some of the ones that are dry, like these ones, is I can take like a darker color, still with a little bit of water. Like I'm going to use phthalo blue, and what I can do is to get some fun texture is you can use like the side of the tip and do what's called like dry brushing, which is like where you're kind of scraping and it kind of gives almost like random texture, which is kind of fun. I sometimes like to do it at an angle a little bit, which is kind of fun for like the bottom of the shell to kind of have some rough texture. And not necessarily having to blend it. I'm just kind of putting it in there and then leaving it. If there's too much, then you can take a paintbrush with a little bit of water and kind of fade it. But mostly you want to just let it go where it's going to go. This is also a great way to do like mountains, to get like the white peaks. But you want to do this on a layer that's dry. If you do it on a wet layer, it's just going to blend in with it and not show up very much. So I can even do it on this one. Do it on this one. It's going to turn green since there's so much yellow on this one. And that's okay. Okay, so for this flipper, you can decide if you want to try and paint it sectionally, like you did the other ones, but they're really small. So it's a little tricky. Or something you can do is paint the whole flipper and then come back in with like a white paint marker or something and divide it that way. So if you're really careful, you can try and paint around the little white spaces, but it's a little tricky. So if I want to just paint the whole entire thing, what I'm going to do is especially put water in between my warm and cool colors, because I'm going to have blues and purples here and then more warm colors over here. And I'm going to start off with my warmer colors, like my pink. I'm going to put some pink down here and I'm just painting over it. See what happens. Then I'm going to do my yellows. And I'm just tapping into them. And I have a little water and I'm going to do my, let's see, my phthalo blue, which will go a little green. Another blue, and then I'll do purple. Whoops. So you have to think about what colors are going to mix well together. Yep, sometimes kids are as hard on themselves as adults are. A lot of times with your backgrounds, we're doing kind of a fun splattery background. If you want to do more of a serious background, you can. A lot of times what makes it easier is making sure to prep whatever color you want in your background on your palette. Because a lot of times if I have to keep grabbing it, then everything's going to dry. So I'm making pretty big puddles on my palette. Very saturated colors. I'm going to use like lots of blues, probably some pinks, or whatever your favorite color is. You could use lots of that.
Well, he's swimming, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. He's swimming or flying. So what you can do, I'll try and move it a little bit over there. What you can do is take a big puddle like this. Normally I'll use a round brush because those work pretty well for flicking, and I load my brush like that. And you can do just regular flicking or splattering by tapping typically like in the middle of the brush and going like that. And that'll give you a quick spurt. If you want to try and protect areas, that's where you can put like a paper towel on top of your subject and then do it. Another thing you can do is you can actually put like a layer of clean water on an area and then splatter a color in there, and it's going to spread a little bit. So, and it works really well with really vibrant colors because then you're like, ooh, look at that color. So, and trying to mirror the colors that are in your picture really helps to kind of bring it together. And one thing on this painting that they kind of did is they did some dripping. And that's a lot of times where you put a color in one area and then you kind of work vertically and actually literally have the paint drip down, which sometimes you have to like drop, yeah, make it go, drop, and kind of tap it to make it drip. So then I could put it a little bit on his face, like, oh no, he's dripping everywhere. So, he's crying. But you can also do, use like straws to like blow watercolor paint sometimes. But you know, you can have fun with it. Yeah, wet splatter is really fun. Sometimes I'll even paint a section of color and then flick another color into it. Boop, 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 boop. And the more dramatic and like faster you hit it sometimes, the better the flicks are going to be. But you can always practice on a scrap paper. But you won't really get the same effect every time. It's very random. Once your turtle's dry, you know, and you didn't mask off the white areas, that's where you could come back in with like a white paint marker and you can go in and kind of create those lines if you feel like it needs it. Sometimes it actually looks kind of interesting without the lines since we already did a lot of inking on there. But you can literally draw, you know, with the pen and it kind of creates some fun areas. Or like if I lost the highlight in my turtle's eye, I could put that back in. So, and it's up to you what you want to do with it.